in order to get residual glitter out of the feed before I actually write the actual reviews, because these are not glitter inks and I don't want to confuse people into thinking they are glitter inks. Ah, so fancy. So fancy. And let me know if there's like weird stream issues. I know my internet is being dumb. Oh, the stream was disconnected, attempted to reconnect, because my internet is really struggled to open some basic web pages just now. That's the other thing that made me late, is struggling with my internet. And then also there was someone on one of the pen discords that was getting into, that was asking about pencils, and I'm one of the few people in that discord that actually knows a lot about pencils, so I had to go, education needed to happen. And not like bad education, but just like they didn't know anything about pencils, and pretty much no one else in the chat did, other than black ones are good, which yeah. But I was like, here, have a wall of information. Oh, you have shitty eraser situation. I need to tell you about those, about erasers as well. So yeah, there was a lot of, and this all happened on my phone, of course, because of course it did. Apple, where are you going? She just pooped on the chair. Look at that. She's so proud of herself. Welcome back. But she did poop on me, which I appreciate. Well, she wants to hang out on my finger. Okay. We're going to fill this. And this is also a test to see how good the battery on my light is doing. Because it is a battery operated light, which I kind of needed because I'm pretty much out of plug space, because I live in a older apartment, so it's from like the 50s, it was built in the 50s before we had all these fancy electronics. So they basically don't have enough plugs for like lamps, not, you know, everything that we use today. So I've got 3 maxed out power strips. Aqua, what are you doing? Excuse me for a minute. Okay, back. So, Aqua, she's being very frustrated. She likes to sleep in the blanket that's in my bed back there. I think I'm probably going to have to go put her in her cage. So I'm going to do the BRB thing real quick. I don't know. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Sometimes Aqua can be, you know, demanding. Birds have about the mental age of a toddler. And I did also close my window blinds because I realized I don't need the natural light anymore, so I don't have to have, like, people on the street creeping on me while I do this. So, yeah. Where did I put the... over here. Now you get to see me stretching and getting things versus... you know, I'm also getting used to the new setup because, like I said, the desk arrangement is slightly different. That's why I use this washi tape so I can see what's in focus, like what's in frame and what's not in frame. Okay. I did a really terrible job filling that first one. This is probably going to put residual glitter in the... Okay. So yeah, smaller area, but that also means, I don't know, it looks like there's more stuff going on. Also, I have more space on my, so yeah, it is actually a smaller area that I have on my desk that is in camera view now. just by the way it arranged, because before I had the camera higher up and kind of at an angle, because that's what was structurally stable. So you saw most of my, at least the part of my desk that's immediately in front of my computer. Now you're only seeing maybe like 8 inches square of my computer, and that's going to be around 20 centimeters square for those of you that aren't American. So I have a lot more of my desk in which to like place extra stuff and not worry about, you know, being weird on camera. But it also means that, like, because I'm not at a weird angle, like before, if I was holding my pen here, it would look like it's over here based on where everything is. And also a good thing is, because I now have a boom arm on this camera, if I hit the desk, it has shocks. So the camera doesn't bounce as much as it did before and drift. So the big computing, I am loving the setup. Also, that means like I don't like, yeah, the way it was before was very jury-rigged with cheap material, with like cheap stuff, because that's what I could afford. And luckily, I put stuff on my wish list for my birthday, and I put a lot of stuff on my wish list to give my parents lots of options. So they opted to get me this stuff. I don't know, I guess because they were like, well, we could get you like all of your ink samples, but that seems like a lot of ink, because, you know, they don't, like, they support me and everything, but it's like, what is this hobby? Like, that seems like a lot of ink, are you sure? Okay, so now we've got our things inked with this one. And, oh right, so what I need to do first is, let's grab some sort of paper to scribble on to get everything off. I've got a plethora of notebooks, so I'm looking around my desk deciding what to scribble on. This will do just fine. This is a Story Supply exposition notebook, and you do not need to see all that stuff. The paper's okay. I've kind of looked at buying a whole like journal of this because it's not my best. The paper's great for like a pocket notebook, but it's too feathery bleedy for me. Oh wait, I don't need to do that one. I need to scribble out this one. It's too feathery bleedy for me for an everyday, for like a fountain pen use sort of thing. And like a journal where I'm going to give things more time to dry. So I'm just scribbling, getting out all the extra glitter. That seems pretty good. Normally I wouldn't care about this if it was for my own personal use, but because it's for, I would be like, oh cool, glittery ink. But because it's for review purposes, and so it's going to be kind of like in perpetuity on the internet, I care quite a bit more. So I don't want people thinking this has traces of glitter in it when it really doesn't. This feed doesn't hold on to a lot of glitter just because it's very open. That's why it's my wet writer. Basically, the inks hold on to the amount of glitter, the feeds hold on to the amount of glitter it's proportional to the wetness. So this one's the dry feed, so it is most susceptible to being clogged by glitter and actually holds on to a lot of glitter. That's why I had to ink it up separately. This one, medium, like it did come out sparkly a bit. This one, not as much. It cleans up pretty well. Okay, so with that done, now let's get our good friend. Actually, the best indicator of how well the new system is going to work in terms of shaking the camera is the closer friendly. Moving my mic a little bit. So this probably gives you a better idea of, so it still shakes the camera because it shakes the whole desk, but not nearly as much. That's lovely. So we got nice and sharp. Okay. So I was just double checking things. I'm going to move these over to the side so you can't see them lying in wait like you could before. I realized that we're a solid, oh you cannot see that, we're a good chunk of the way through the Hypnotic. We're over halfway, and I started like, I did try and use this notebook as a journal a little bit, but mainly this has been for ink reviews. So this will probably last me 2 whole years of ink reviews because we're over a year. That's just how chunky they are. And my goal after we finish this is hopefully I will have a better paying job so I can afford to buy a journaling Masubi. That would be great. Even if it's just one of those refills versus like a Masubi, it's fine. But like a Masubi would be fun. But again, that depends on the employment situation. I just realized I was talking this whole time, my mic was off. Cool. I have the levels up there. You, like, don't know what I was doing. Anyway, what I was saying is, when you couldn't see me, we're over halfway through the Hipponoto. So this will probably last me another year, because that's how hippos do. And my goal is when I have hopefully a better paying job in a year or so, is switching, because I still want to do Tomoe River, is a Masubi. This seems like a good special use case for one of their journals, even if it's just one of their refills, because it's still good. But like one of their bound journals would be nice too. I don't know. We'll have to see what the situation is employment-wise at that point. And also advantage of this is that I can have the microphone much closer and angled towards the scritch without getting the funky shadows. If the microphone would stay up, that would be great. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is very entertaining. You see me lean down and write. But yeah, that's just how I write. So that's what the face cam is informative, but sometimes it's like, eh. It's almost perfect for times like this when instead of you seeing my hands gesturing, you can see my mouth talking. Okay. The bad part about this is that the camera is is that I'm realizing the camera is a bit in my line of sight to seeing these articles, so I can still see them to copy, but I'm going to need to creatively scroll a little bit. So basically scrolling more often. So this is really pretty. Hey, Aiden. Yes, we got increased production value courtesy of my birthday being on Saturday, being last Saturday. So part of what I had on my birthday list was, in addition to the usual like pile of stationery goods, was increased production setup. And my parents actually got it for me. I didn't think they would, but they did. And I was like, okay, that was kind of a shot in the dark, or like a moonshot sort of thing. But they did. So now you can see my lovely face. There was Aqua a little bit earlier, but now she was being Aqua, being frustrating. Um, she wanted me to play with her instead of doing this. So that is, yeah, so she went in her cage. And you notice that everything's actually in focus now. Peaking is more than usual. Oh yeah, I do see that. Okay. Let me adjust that. Is that better? There we are. Okay. Is that better sound-wise? Let me know. I can always adjust all these things. Cool. This is what the little sliders are for. Because that's the thing is, while I changed all the camera setup, I didn't change anything with the mic, so I didn't touch the mic settings. So I don't know. There was an update though. There was an updates to the software, so that probably did it. But yeah, if that, or if the camera's out of focus or anything, I know it's much more in focus now than it has been in the past. Or if you want it like brighter, darker, I can now adjust all these things because I got a new webcam along with the increased production value. And I just like forgot, do I do a comma? Do I do a dash? Though to be honest, I'm much more excited about the fact this is the ink we're doing, Robert Oster Australian Opal Mauve, which is something, it's similar-ish to some of the Sailor Studio where it does have like some multi-chrome things going on there. But yeah, I'm basically like so many options. I can adjust things. It's exciting. And it's good because the autofocus on this webcam doesn't like to focus on stationary. So I do have to do that manually. Like it thinks it's in focus and it's really not. Okay. Where was I in the article? Okay. So it's a little bit, I think, hard to see in this camera. It's really subtle. I don't think a camera would pick it up all that well. But as it dries, it goes down a much darker purple, and then it dries. It goes in phases as it dries. So it goes down purple, and then it and then the middle, as it's drying, it turns blue, and then it turns like a dusty gray. I really like this ink. It's cool. And unfortunately, I think it's discontinued. Like Jet Pen still has it, but I think they're the last place that still has it. So if you want it, go grab yourself a bottle. And probably some of the more obscure or like not as well trafficked online shops probably still have some if they care about their Oster. Yeah, no, it's really cool. I haven't actually used any of the Sailor Studio inks because they are hard to get hold of. I mean, I could do eBay and stuff, but I'm not that desperate for them. But it sounds similar to like in the 123 223 series, at least of the swabs I've seen online. It seems similar. It's definitely too light, or not too light, too dark to be comparable to 123. Probably comparable to like 223 or 323 in the Sailor Studio line. Like I said, I don't know swabs though, so I can't actually compare. If you do have swabs though, like one of the Sailor Studios I want to compare, I have a bottle, so I can send you a sample. I would. Okay. So I just flicked this over and it like leaked everywhere, so that's good to know. It's very wet ink, so it's doing that. Ooh, just wiped that up and you can see the different colors in it. That sounds cool. I can totally swap samples. I think I have your address, but I'm not sure. Just DM me wherever, Slack, Discord, Twitter, pick one. So can totally swap samples. Also, if there's anything else you want, head over to my fpc.ink and you can look through what bottles I have. And I may give you a sample of it. Some of them are small bottles or very low bottles. So, but just let me know. I can throw extras in there. That's easy. Yeah, this is definitely going down much darker, and you can kind of see it here that it's like drawing lighter, but it's one of those effects that you really see in person or with really good camera work. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm number 4. I hopped on fbc.ink real quick. And this was like when it first started, so I wasn't even like that into inks at that point. I was more like, ooh, a database. It probably was a good thing I didn't get into it before I really got into ink because that made it easier to enter all of them manually. Okay. So maybe I'll try to like get on like break up my good camera and try and capture what this ink looks like drying. Maybe like throw that on Instagram or something. I don't know. But it's very pretty. That's why my computer was acting slow. There was a virus scan going. Thank you, antivirus. So we need Kukuyo. And this is actually the last. Oh no, last week was the last page of this Kukuyo. New Kukuyo time. So that's exciting. I'm gonna set that over to the side, and then I have a big U-shaped disc thing going on here. Ta-da! New Kukuyo time. And this is actually the last Kukuyo I had of the 5-pack I bought. So I'm gonna actually have to place a JetPens order soon. Well, soon. This one's been going since February, so in like 5 months. Oh, look at that fancy new notebook. New notebook smell. Okay. Oh, and Aiden, I know those Sailor Studio bottles are tiny, so you can send me like. Oh, looks like the stream dropped. Excellent. Thank you, Internet. Okay. Put 2 T's there. Let's great misspellings. Alternatively, I might not order another 5-pack of these notebooks. I might just get loose sheets and a binder, because as you can see, the notebook arrangement is a little bit tight here on my desk. Also, having loose sheets would be easier to scan. I do like these because I, at least in the past, have thrown these in my bag at pen shows. So they're thin, they're really easy to throw in a bag, and people can flip through them. That's only happened. People have only wanted to like once. Which ones? Because they have a bunch of different binders. There's the open ring notebooks, which are basically look like a spiral notebook, but like open and close like a binder. I have one of those, and the concept is cool. The actual execution of the idea is a little janky. And also I have found that by carrying, because I tend to carry a lot of stuff around in my bag, that the mechanism is like a push mechanism to unlock the thing. And if I shove things in my bag the wrong way, it'll activate the mechanism and then everything is loose in my bag. So depending on your use case, they could be very good for you. Or you have to have like, if you have a horizontal, like if you put it in like spine up, that's usually fine in like a messenger bag. But if you put it in like a backpack or anything vertical, you could accidentally activate that mechanism and your papers go everywhere. That's one I usually am a big fan of Kikuyo, but probably the Lilliput mechanism where it's a twist is probably a little more secure. I don't know if they make those bigger though. The binders I was referring to though, I also have a Kikuyo like regular old binder, like what you classically think of as a binder. Instead of it being 3 rings where you have to like force the rings open and close, it's a bunch of rings because that's what Kikuyo does, but you just slide a mechanism in and out to open, and it's real smooth and real easy, and I like those binders. So I think it's like the Kikuyo slide binders or something. So yeah, the Kikuyo open ring ones work sometimes, depending on your circumstances. But their actual like binders are very good. And I think they have a couple other types. Like I think like there's a Marumon one that has like a latch mechanism or something. That I don't have one of those, but that would probably work better for me. So basically I need to spend some time with jet pens and see what their offerings are and see what might work best for my situation. Of course, that'll probably end in me wanting to order some of everything because that's how jet pens do. And even though I review inks, so you would think, oh, she's an ink person. My real weakness is paper, and I'm aware of that, so I try and steer clear of it because if I start reviewing paper products, I will just buy everything and bankrupt myself real easily. Versus I can control myself much more around pens and inks, especially because ink samples are cheap. Nice snapping action. This cap is a real good snap. It's very satisfying. Though not great in like meeting situations. I'm just like click really loudly in the middle of someone's presentation. That's happened before, so I've gotten used to capping it softly. But I'm like, 10 people love the snap. The shading on this is bonkers, by the way. I don't know if you can see that. Actually, let me check to make sure everything is in focus. No, I was good. Hit save. Oh no, I shouldn't have closed that. This one, properties. I was gonna say I was gonna keep that window. It's like 3 windows deep, but it's the one for adjusting all the important things. Yep. Um, I don't have Hawaii blue, so I'm probably not the best person to ask. Let me, I know it's like a bright, actually, what I can do is I can bring up, let me place this reel here. We're going to Google it, and so I'm going to bring it up on the screen. We're not going to use Squishy's swatches because she does them way oversaturated. I'm going to go with a Mountain of Ink one. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I knew it was like a bright blue, but I wasn't sure what end of the spectrum we were on. So, no, that's too green. I might have moved all of these. If you want really shitty ink, that Anderillium one, that's feathers and bleeds and coloring cards, is a good match, at least based on my screen. Blue Lightning seems good, but it has sparkle in it. And my blues are split up across. Oh, Colorverse Supernova. That's your ticket. Maybe a touch darker, but it's got, you can see it's got sheen. It's more of a red sheen than a pink sheen. And it is bright, and the Colorverse inks are all very wet. It's going to be expensive. Because it's Colorverse. See if you can maybe like get a sample of it and see, well, yeah, get a sample, or maybe someone trade you the small bottle. I had a sample of it at one point, but this ink, for me personally, most people do not feel this way. It looks really, really good in a swatch. It underwhelmed me in writing. But this color family, that is how they all are for me. They look really good in a swatch, and in writing I'm like, eh. But yeah, so Colorverse Supernova. Yeah, like people love Lamy Turquoise. I'm like, eh. Though ironically, I wrote with Schaefer Peacock Blue like a month or two ago, and I was like, I love it. So yeah. Yeah, no, get a sample of it and see if it does it for you, because I wouldn't spend all that cash on a Colorverse. The Hawaii Blue is probably going to be less expensive. Let me actually look at the Mountain of Ink swabs that she has here. I would also try, let me bring this up, window capture. There we are. Okay, oh, it's over in the corner. So we're gonna make this bigger. So from what Mountain of Ink has to Hawaii Blue, I would definitely do the Colorverse Gentle Suten is okay, but I would probably do, if you want to do this Blackstone, that looks very close. That's what she says looks closer to her eye, but also Soda Pop Blue. Robert Oster looks pretty darn good. So that's probably a much cheaper alternative to Colorverse. So you could just order a bunch of samples in this color family and see what lands closest to you. So there's another Colorverse one you could try is the Crystal Planet, and also Blue Water Ice. But to my eye, it looks like Soda Pop Blue is going to be closest. It's just not going to have the sheen. So if the sheen's what you really like, I would probably try Supernova. But it's called Soda Pop Blue. I think Soda Pop Blue also has sheen. It's not as clearly obvious. I don't own this one either. Like I said, this color family does a lot of things for a lot of people. I'm very meh on it for whatever reason. The swabs look beautiful. I never want to write with this color family. Oh, hey, you have Soda Pop Blue. So yeah, compare it. It looks real close in Kelly's swabs. So cool. Let's go back to, oh, I was supposed to, there we are. Hit the wrong button. And you know what, actually, I think I can up the brightness on this. Let me try. So what I'm trying to do is lighten up. There we are. Much better. It went too dark on them. So you can actually see the color a little better. And the white balance. Yay, manual sliders. The white balance is actually probably pretty good. Yeah. So yeah, go check your Soda Pop Blue. It looks like that'll do it for you. Yeah. This is interesting because this is definitely purple in the swab, but it's kind of like the Sailor 123223 lines. Purple in the swab looks a lot more gray in writing. It's very pretty. Let's see what it looks like on Rhodia. Oh, poor clogged pen from last week. Okay, now I'm gonna mess with our white balance settings again. No, we're gonna keep it like that. Cool. That's too bright. There we are. Manual sliders for everything. Yes. So I can adjust things so they look like the proper color. It's a thing of beauty. Okay. What am I doing? Today has been a day where I just like send people samples of things because one of the reasons I was late to start the stream, if you missed that, was in one of the fountain pen discords, someone was asking about pencils. And I'm one of the few people in that Discord that like knows their shit about pencils. So, I had to educate because they were asking. And then I was like, wait, they were looking for cheaper pencils, and I have a selection of ones that are partially used, and I asked him if that was okay, if he would accept some partially used pencils, and he was like, yes, I shall, because I am flat broke, so partially used is better than nothing. So for them to try and dip their toe into decent pencils, because he was using bulk dollar store pencils, which just hurts my heart as a pencil lover. And he said as he loves pencils, he just can't afford other things. And I'm like, you know what, fair. The fun thing is, because this light is clearly warm, because it's a big bright light, even though it's LEDs, you could see condensation forming in my demo. Because yeah, it's LED, it's not as hot, but it still has that good old radiation. EM waves are great for heating up things. Yeah. Haha, my bot works. Sometimes the bot goes offline for a little bit and I have to like manually reset it. Like every couple months ago for the stream. It was like last week, I noticed, I'm like, I had someone in the chat. I have it set to go off every so often when people are chatting, and it didn't go off. And I was like, bot needs a reboot. And so I did that, so it's working. Okay. Yeah, this is really pretty. Oh, Rhodia. Doesn't show off a whole lot of ink properties too good, but it doesn't feather or bleed. So that's why it's great. Okay, so now we have shitty paper time. Gotta love the good old shitty paper. And I started this almost a year ago. And like, give it another month, like it's definitely gonna last a year. I could have done the math with the page counts and seen it was gonna last over a year, but I did not. So it's kind of shocking to me. Because in the meantime, I'll basically have gone, this will last longer than 2 Kikuyu notebooks. Okay. Okay. Staples paper time. Let me bring up your swab link. Oh no. This is... accessing it is a little difficult. There we are. Just the way... So Twitch minimizes chat when... like everything, every program I'm using minimizes chat windows when things are like half screen and whatnot, because I have like the article I'm copying and, you know, everything else. So I need to like open up another window to access what you just wrote. Oh, but it went away. Boo. I have to full screen this. Nope. Okay. Aiden, text me that link because Twitch is being dumb. Or not text me, like DM me or post it again when I have things open to get that log. There we are. Okay, post it again, please. Because the way the Twitch chat works, if I don't have a chat window actively open when you post that, it disappears. I cannot access it, even though it is my stream. There we are. Okay, I can click it now. Yeah, that's pretty darn close. I would call that good enough, but obviously it's up to you if you think that's good enough as a comparison. I can see the Hawaii blue probably has some stronger shading to it than the soda pop blue, but it's real close. So yeah, Twitch. Oh, anyway, hi Roel. Yes, I got spiffy new layout because my birthday outfitted me with new equipment. Yay! Okay, and we're also doing. You might actually, because you like purples, you might already have this. We're doing Robert Oster Australian Opal Mauve, which you can actually read because my camera is in focus because it's a new camera. Ta-da! Um, So if you have that one, and also some of the Sailor Studios, what I was wondering is if this is similar not to 123, but probably 223 or 323 of the Sailor Studio line, because it's a bit too dark to compare to that, but it's got that same kind of multi-layer thing going on. Anyway, we're at the Staples paper, if you couldn't read it. I'm so proud of the fact that it's in focus, you can actually read what's on the page. But we're at shitty paper time. What you're talking about? Okay. I'm so used to keeping everything so it's in camera frame to like fill up the frame and the screen, but I'm like, right. The only thing that's in camera is this very small area, and I don't have to worry about it because I have a lovely fish picture in the back, which you can't see. I tried to pick one that was less busy because it's a background. There's text on top of it. Took a lot of digging through my diving photos because I tend to take pictures of stuff when I go diving. I say that and I haven't been diving in like 6 years because I live inland now. Oh, lovely. The reason the governor's calling for spending cuts is because they're reducing the taxes for the wealthy. So therefore, they're cutting spending to pay for that. So they're basically taking money from the poor and giving it to the wealthy. Excellent. Though, I gotta say, I didn't really expect much more from this government. This is how Georgia operates just in general. This should surprise nobody. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty. So the feathering's actually not terrible. And let me see if I can hold this. I'm probably going to have to adjust the focus on this. That's a little weird. Ha! Focus! So you can see the feathering's not terrible in these top two. It gets bad in the wet, which is to be expected. And on the other side, that's actually not as bad a bleed through as I was expecting. There's more bleed through in the dry than the regular for some reason. This confuses me. So this might be an acceptable one for shitty paper, depending on your tolerance levels. And I like dry or regular writer. Okay, so let's go back in focus down here. Cool. Okay, oh look, I have stream issues. I was wondering why the viewers went down. Ah, stream disconnecting. Thank you, internet. Okay. Cool. So now I'm going to put this over the side. And we're going to empty these pens, and then we're going to go on a little pen cleaning intermission. And you need new washi tape. Okay, cool. So thank you very much, Mr. Oster. I'm going to go clean pens, so I'll be back in like 10-15 minutes. Until then, like, go get a drink, go to the bathroom, whatever. Okay, see you soon. Okay. Not bad. Are still real good. Hello there, we're back. And I'm really glad I did get this light especially. The webcam's great, the light's really good because for the whole summer, basically the last couple months, I've been able to like ride off the natural light, but we're a couple months removed from the solstice. So it's starting to get darker, and at least here in Georgia, um, it gets light in the evening. Like how the days lengthen in the spring is it gets light later in the evening first, and then it advances on the morning. But that also means that towards when you start moving away from the solstice, the light goes away from the evening first, and then it goes away from the morning, which doesn't fit for my schedule because I don't. Well, I guess it kind of does because I prefer if I have to wake up early that it to be light out. But it doesn't work so well for the stream, so this makes up for the fact that, as you can see behind me, it's much darker because I didn't turn on the overhead light because I don't need it because I have this bright light. Anyway, so I keep forgetting how. It's my first stream with the new setup, so of course I'm going to keep forgetting things about it. Keep forgetting how this is a much smaller space and you cannot see all of it. And then I have a little error message here. Skipped frames, excellent. I really hope that this isn't going to be something I have to stitch back together. I can actually check on that though. Actually, no, I'll check on that later because there's nothing I can do to change it now. So, make sure to get all the water out. I normally, when I clean pens, do it like if I'm not doing it on the stream, I don't dry them out. I just let them air dry in this little paper towel tub I got here. And that does a good job because there is probably still residual water in here a little bit. That's why I hold paper towel on them. Being able to tap it like this and the camera not vibrate violently is a thing of beauty. Like it's still shaking a little bit, but it's not like like it was before. Okay. I can still see there's water in that feed. Usually that tapping gets it out, but sometimes it doesn't. So that's what paper towel is for. Okay. Okie dokie. So now we're at the filling stage. So the other ink, I'm going to move this over to the side. Ish. Like I said, I need new washi tape. You can see it curling up. It's making it so I can't slide things easily. Is this Noodler's Ottoman Rose. Like I said, I had actually asked for a sample of this, but I put a picture of the bottle and in the text I put the sample in the wish list thing I use, and my mom did not read and just looked at the picture. Which, I mean, okay, fair. That happens. So I got a bottle of it. It is very pretty. Unlike the other one, I'm actually going to pull out my swabs and see what it compares to. Because the other one I had a pretty good idea. I knew I didn't have anything comparable right off the bat. So let's move that to the side. We're going to compare things. Thought so. It's very close to Colorverse Redshift. Though Colorverse Redshift is a little bit more pink and has a little bit of a gold sheen. Like hints, versus this is more like it's rose colored. So yeah, so that's right in there. Like I said, I was wondering how comparable it would be to Suffrage's Carmine. Suffrage's Carmine is clearly much more just like pink. versus this is a redder pink, sort of deep rose. It's a deep rose color. That's why it says Ottoman rose. It's very pretty. So like the lighter bits you can see are comparable to suffragist carmine. What also gives me hope is comparing the line width, because like I said, this ink behaves like shit. Until I encountered those Antirillium inks, this was the worst ink I had ever encountered. Of course I have a bottle of it, because of course. But this is a much finer line comparatively, so that means it's probably going to behave a lot better than Suffragist Carmine. But yeah, it's probably most comparable to Colorverse Redshift. And actually, let me look at the reds I have, because I have some pinky reds. I have some pinky reds that I put in with my pinks and some in with my reds. Oh no, that's way more. Yeah, no, that's not comparable at all. This is very much goes with the pinks. So yeah, closer to Colorverse Redshift. And I'm just looking to see, let's put that over here so I can flip through to see if I missed anything. Yamabuda is way more magenta. And then yeah, we're by Colorverse Redshift, Suffragist Carmine, Poppy Red, sort of, and then we're getting way more like pink. Yeah, so it's in this family. When I do my swabs, I'm probably going to put it between these two, because that's the best I got, comparative, but it's basically Colorverse Redshift, a lot cheaper without the sheen. Which honestly, I didn't even realize this had a sheen until I was looking at it in this light right now, and now I can see it. So I wonder if there's other inks I've had. Like, interesting. So I knew Vibrant Pink had a gold sheen, but it is way more apparent under this specific lighting than it is like under this new bright LED light than it has been in the past. So I actually wonder, like I can see Grenade's sheen a lot better under this light. Lighting makes a difference when looking for sheen. Australian roses or English roses had sheen. I knew Dark Energy had sheen. That one's readily obvious. I also see the sparkles a lot better. Huh, this is called, I go, huh, I am interested. I know I like value, but do it a little bit below the brim. So people have freezing room, and people always spill those milliliters anyway, so it's not like you are giving them value, it's just getting them messy and the ink isn't being used. We're going to fill this up, and it's like not even going to go below the lip. This is part of the reason I wanted to sample it on a bottle, is because it's like, will I use a full bottle of this ink? I will admit I have 2 Noodler's bottles that I actually have made a lot of progress in. One is the one I use in my highlighter. So it's a highlighter ink, and basically the highlighter is it's a marker, so it dumps ink on the page. It's also an eyedropper. So I've made a good chunk, and I up until recently was in grad school and didn't have a real good and like I didn't have like an e-reading situation until the end of grad school, so I would print out most of my papers and highlight them manually. I have a whole filing cabinet full of papers that I have read and highlighted with that highlighter. So I have burned areas I'm cool with. Some are not so much. I'm not so much, and it was very unclear from his labels. But I did recently see one of his labels that clarified a lot for me, so now I'm kind of uncomfortable with his politics. But like I already have some stuff, so I'm gonna review it because people do like the inks and are good at ignoring politics. And some of the inks, like I said, I really like and are really useful and good. Like in specific use cases. Like, he makes a lot of weird inks that not a lot of other people make with weird, unique properties. Like I said, the highlighter ink and the bulletproof black. The regular ones, some of the colors are really good. He makes a lot of crap ones, though. Cock House Divided. Anyway, off of the Noodler's rant, now we're going to actually go back to this. Oh, look how pretty it is. Look how pretty. Okay. Why am I writing Noodlers? That doesn't go here. That goes on the other side, actually. I don't know why I don't reach for the foam eraser every time, because it works so much better. The black wing erasers are good, but still nothing holds a candle, in my opinion, to performance to standalone erasers. Especially, I love the Sakura foam series, both the regular foam, the arch. Haven't tried the sumo grip though. I might get one, but I already have like this one. I have 2 of these, and so I don't know when eventually look at the other one. This one especially is great for like Tomoe River and like really light thin papers, because you need a very light touch to erase. So like, let me demonstrate. I'm barely touching it, and see how it erases. You need a very light touch so you don't crinkle it. I also like it for a lot of art applications, because that means I can just get the paper off the page. Ta-da. Very good eraser. Highly recommend. They're also fairly cheap. I think this one's like 80 cents, maybe $1. Yeah. Okay, so where were we in the article? This is the premium question. Top income tax rate. So it's feeling a little dry to me writing with it. I'm not, like, I'm feeling the need to press harder in the dry pen, even though I don't really need to. Didn't realize that Georgia ranked 50th, like basically dead last in state spending growth, which is disproportionate to our population boom. I don't know, it seems out of sync, which also explains a lot. It's like, oh wait, we have less resources, so because the spending growth is less than population growth, that means resources are spread over fewer people. This explains a lot just about living in the state. Yeah, goes down really red, dries much pinker. Interesting. I love Jeffs that are Geoffs. Yeah, it goes down much more red than I usually like. God damn it, this pen is like having a leaking problem. Interesting. But then it dries more pink, so I actually prefer what it dries to versus what it goes down wet, because I like the slightly pinker hue to it. That's why I didn't really like Redshift as much, which I have that in here somewhere. It's much earlier than, oh yeah, you can see the sheen a lot better with the proper lighting. I might have to go back and edit some, like, because I wasn't seeing any sheen on this with this paper before. Jacquard. Before that, it was a while ago. Oh, Rouge d'Orient, love Rouge d'Orient. It was around Nemo sign. It was around here, I want to say. River Fire, Sublime. No, okay. I know it was around here. I remember writing it. Full screen. Oh, hey, this one has sheen. Lighting helps with sheen. So much. Did all my color verses. There we are. There's Redshift. So Redshift is more red versus this is more pink. And that little difference is critical for me. So now I'm going to have more accurate sheen tags, because apparently it was a lighting issue why I wasn't seeing sheen in my inks. That everyone else had reported to have sheen. Hey, who knew? Well, you can see the sparkle really well on that. Sorry, I'm just like ogling at the how much better inks look when you have them under proper light. Imagine that. It's a radical concept. I'm going to fold this over because that was obnoxious. The last ink. Oh, you can hear it squeak. Actually, no, that's more obnoxious having it underneath. I'll just deal with kind of going under the mic here. Okay. Actually, I want to double check the focus on this so you guys can see it. That looks a little better. Yeah, cool. Good. There's an autofocus on this thing, but doesn't work too good for stationary for whatever reason. Focuses on other things in the picture. Yeah, I was saying it felt a little dry before, but now it isn't, so it might have been. Sometimes this pen doesn't react weird with Tomoe River, like it slips on it because it's so coated. That's why, even though I review with a bunch of different papers, how it behaves in the Kikuyo is kind of my go-to standard to see what things turn out like for how things behave. It works the best with all my pens. Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with owning a bottle of this. It's very pretty. Okay. Looking to see if there's any sheen whatsoever that wasn't coming out in the swab. But no, there's some feathering issues towards the bottom here. But I'm legit not sure if that's from my hand oils, because I try and counteract it with the blotting paper, but my arm is longer than the blotting paper. What am I doing looking? I can show you. The shading is really pretty though. Let's see, we're gonna adjust. I am like reveling in this. So you can see the shading is really pretty, especially in the wet pen. It's not super pronounced elsewhere, but it's there. So it's got some shading. It's nothing like what we have up here, where it's just like, yeah, that's really pretty. Versus this has some shading. I don't know if I'm going to tag in shading ink. Probably not. I need to actually go through all the inks and because like my standards for what I tag as shading have changed, so I just need to go through all of my inks or all of my current reviews and recategorize them as shading or not shading. And also with sheen, as I've discovered here. Okay, let's look at it on Rhodia. I think 2 sheets out of them. You can see the sparkle. It's blingy for some of those diamine shimmer-tastics. Yeah, on this paper again, it feels just a touch dry. Nothing, not like dry as dust, but just like I can tell it's just a little bit there. Just a little bit. It's totally fine in the other two. gonna write wet instead of gold, and I'm like, I already wrote wet. So yeah, I am still seeing some of the feathering issues in the wet pen that I was seeing on the Kikuyu, so it's not a hand oils thing in this case. So we're at the top of the page here. There are a little bit of feathering issues with this in a wet pen, which that happens with not an infrequent number of Noodler inks, so I'm not surprised. Which means it's going to be fun seeing what it looks like in bad paper. Okay. Now it's already 8 o'clock. I've been going long with this one. Normally they only are like an hour and a half. It's because I did lots of chatting about other things. Okay. Oh. Paper's blocking this one. There we are. There we are. Cool. Oh no. I clicked the wrong thing on the page for the article. Where was I? Pay for educators. Oh, look, lots of error messages. All the dropped frames. I'm so sorry. Oh, and disconnected like 20 minutes ago. Excellent. Thank you, Internet. Oh, damn it. This is a dry writer. I can already kind of tell this is destroying this paper. That's just what it's feeling like. There we are. Realizing as it gets dark, while I lean down, the shitty camera, which is what I had been using earlier as my top-down camera, which is now my face camera, is trying to adjust for the fact that there's a dark background instead of the light. You know, hey. Oh yeah, this is just, there's a bunch of feathering all up in all of